Virginia Hall, also known as the Limping Lady, organized sabotage and rescue operations across Vichy France, paving the way for the Allied invasion. During World War II, Nazi officials were constantly hunting down resistance fighters and the Allied spies who aided them. But there was one foreign operative the Third Reich held special contempt for, a woman responsible for more jailbreaks, sabotage missions, and leaks of Nazi troop movements than any spy in France. Her name was Virginia Hall, but the Nazis knew her only as the Limping Lady. I would give anything to get my hands on the limping Canadian. Klaus Barbie, the infamous Gestapo chief, reportedly grumbled to his henchmen. Despite his cruelest efforts, he never would. Virginia Hall wasn't Canadian, but she did walk with a pronounced limp, the result of a freak hunting accident that required the amputation of her left leg below the knee. In its place was an ungainly 7-pound wooden prosthetic that she lovingly nicknamed Cuthbert. Hall was raised in Baltimore, Maryland, by a wealthy and worldly family that put no limits on their daughter's potential. Athletic, sharp, and funny, she was voted the most original in our class in her high school yearbook. She began her college studies at Barnard and Radcliffe, but finished them in Paris and Vienna, becoming fluent in French, German, and Italian, with a little Russian on the side. After graduation, Hall applied to the U.S. Foreign Service, eager to see the world and serve her country, but was shocked to get a rejection letter reading, in effect, "No woman, not going to happen." Not ready to give up, Hall decided to enter Foreign Service through the back door, by landing a clerk job at the U.S. Embassy in Warsaw, and then at the U.S. Consulate in Smyrna, Turkey. It was during a bird-hunting excursion with American friends in Turkey in 1933 that Hall stumbled climbing over a wire fence and accidentally discharged her shotgun, hopelessly mangling her left foot. Recuperating back home in Maryland, Hall applied to the Foreign Service again, only to be rejected not because she was a woman, but because she was an amputee. Hall quit the State Department and went back to Paris as a civilian in 1940, on the eve of the German invasion. She drove ambulances for the French army and fled to England when France capitulated to the Nazis. At a cocktail party in London, Hall was railing against Hitler when a stranger handed her a business card and said, "If you are really interested in stopping Hitler, come and see me." The woman was none other than Vera Atkins, a British spymaster believed to be Ian Fleming's inspiration for Miss Moneypenny in the James Bond series. Atkins, who recruited agents for Winston Churchill's newly created Special Operation Executive, was impressed with Hall's first-hand knowledge of French countryside, her multilingual fluency, and her unflappable moxie. In 1941, Hall became the Special Operation Executive's first female resident agent in France, complete with a fake name and papers as an American reporter with the New York Post. She quickly proved exceptionally skilled at not only radioing back information on German troop movements and military posts, but also at recruiting a network of loyal resistance spies in central France. The mission of the Special Operation Executives was to set Europe ablaze with sabotage and subversion tactics against the Nazi forces. What 1940 spycraft lacked in technological sophistication, it made up in creativity. The BBC would insert coded messages into its nightly news radio podcasts. Hall would file news stories with her editor in New York, embedded with coded missives for her special operation executive bosses in London. In Lyon, Hall would put up potted geranium in her window when there was a pickup to be made, and the pickup would be a message behind a loose brick in particular wall. Or it might be go to a certain cafe, and if there is a message, the bartender would give you a glass with something stuck to the bottom of it. Hall became so notorious to Nazi leaders that the Gestapo dubbed her the most dangerous of all Allied spies. When Barbie and the Gestapo distributed wanted posters for the limping lady, Hall fled the country the only way she could, a grueling 50-mile trek over the Pyrenees Mountains southward into Spain. Her Spanish guide at first refused to take a woman, let alone an amputee, but she would not be deterred. The November weather was bitter cold, and her prosthetic was agonizing. At a safe house in the mountains, Hall radioed her superiors in London to report that she was okay, but that Cuthbert was giving her trouble. The deadly serious reply from executives headquarters, which mistook Cuthbert for an informant, read, "If Cuthbert is giving you difficulty, have him eliminated." But Hall wasn't done fighting Nazis, since the British side refused to send her back into France as a marked woman. Hall signed up with the US Office of Strategic Service, a precursor to the CIA. In 1944, months before the D-Day invasion at Normandy, Hall rowed a British torpedo ship to France, and, disguised as a 60-year-old peasant woman, crisscrossed the French countryside, organizing sabotage missions against the German army. In one of the reports, Hall's team was credited with derailing freight trains, blowing up 4 bridges, killing 150 Nazis, and capturing 500 more. After the war, Hall was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, one of the highest U.S. military honors for bravery in combat. She was the only woman to receive the award during World War II. Back home, she continued to work for the CIA until her mandatory retirement at the age 60. Hall passed away in 1982. And because she eschewed attention and praise, even some of her closest family members didn't know the full extent of her daring escapades and Vichy France. Hall was a spy's spy to the end.